Going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater. And comic book movies have had an interesting ride over the course of the past 30 years, right? Since we saw the 1988 Batman. Now, people out there have argued, oh, but the 1964 Batman. Look, I'm not knocking the Adam West Burt Ward movie, okay? I love that movie. It is campy as all hell. It is amazing even to this day. But we can chart the current trajectory of comic book films all based around Tim Burton's Batman movie from 1988. We can, that's true. And during the 1990s, comics had a bit of a weird run. We did. We had Batman Returns in 91. We had Batman and Robin in 95, which was I still think that movie's fantastic. I don't care what anyone says. But Batman Forever 95. That was a good one. Batman and Robin in 97 was terrible, and that just everything. It just screwed up comic book movies for many years. That was so badly done that it damaged the industry, which is one of the reasons why when Bryan Singer was making X-Men in 2000, he wanted it to be a serious adaptation. He didn't want any comparison at all, remotely, 100% just removed from Batman and Robin. And you know what? I don't blame him. I don't blame anyone working on that movie going like, we need to keep away from that, right? The Dark Knight straight screwed himself with that movie. We ain't going to see him again for another 8 years, right? But we just also need to make sure that we do this thing and we keep it on the up and up. And that's why Bryan Singer banned comic books on the set of X-Men. And this is an article making the way around because it's all based off a Hugh Jackman interview while promoting his new film, The Frontrunner. And he talks about it. Well, I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's just see what he says. It says Bryan Singer had this thing that people would think he really wanted to take comic book characters seriously as real three-dimensional characters, that people who don't understand these comics might think they're two-dimensional. So no one was allowed comics. It was contraband. I've never read an X-Men, so people were slipping them under my door, and I'm looking at these things going, these are brilliant. Look at the physicality. And then Jackman also revealed that it was Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige that told him which comic book runs to read, because Feige himself served as an associate producer on the film. If you ever want to know how much Feige has crafted in some respects, like the current landscape of comic book movies, go back to 1998 when they were filming, or 1999 when they were filming X-Men in Toronto, right? Like you can see he very much was on board, but the thing is though, here's the deal. Singer was absolutely correct in his approach. He wanted this to be taken as a serious thing. He wanted this to be treated as a serious property, as a serious movie, to take the stories and the characters and what they were trying to do, because we're talking about literal genocide in the first film, right? We are literally talking about genocide in the first movie. So he's not wanting to make it like Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan, but he's wanting it to be a serious film. But then you get Kevin Feige coming out the back. That Kevin Feige is the one that's all like, look, I know it's banned, but here, read this. This is what this is what you want to do. This is what you're going to want to see, right? And I think Singer keeping it focused and the cast talking to Kevin Feige is one of the things that made it as good as it is. Because let's be fair, July 2000, when X-Men dropped, your mind was blown. Your mind was blown. My mind was blown. Holy shit. I was impressed as all hell with that damn movie. I remember buying that on DVD the moment I could, going home with my 5.1 surround sound system on a fucking huge ass TV my stepdad bought because he had a good solid tax return, and we watched the shit out of X-Men multiple times. That movie to this day is still phenomenal, and the other films have tried to keep up with it, to be fair. And I think it's always a lot of elements that go into making a movie as good as it was. And I think Singer wanting it to be taken seriously, wanting it to be taken in a certain direction, is the reason why it is as good as it is. And it has everything to do with his producers also working on it too, and also helping direct the cast for what to read and what to understand about these characters, because he didn't want them to be infected. He wanted their eyes on the prize. And I think that type of hiding who they were, reading this kind of thing, keeping it secret from the director, falls in line with X-Men and the mutants hiding who they really are from the greater world. And I think them working to be better as a result of that is one of the things that went into this film. Now, I will fully admit I could entirely be overreading this factor, but I view it as such a cool little piece of trivia because it's so interesting to me to look at these movies and go like, yeah, maybe that was one of the reasons why it worked as well as it did. It had a solid script from David Hayter. Bryan Singer knocked it out of the park directing it. The cast and crew were amazing. Everyone was great. Everything was firing on all cylinders, but it's always the behind the scenes things that very much help direct where they go. They carve the path, so to speak. And I think Kevin Feige giving Wolverine comics to read, Hugh Jackman giving him comics to read while they're making the movie is probably one of the things that helped Jackman truly understand Wolverine as a character, understand Logan as a character, and then make it more endearing. Right? He had never read an X-Men comic. He wasn't there to be, he wasn't going to have this in his mind, but it worked for him in a way that was allowing him to bring it out. And I think that only exemplified his performance, as well as leading the path for this particular type of movie franchise to do well. I mean, 17 years from that movie's release, we got Logan, and it was a tear-jerking, gut-wrenching, amazing movie. And in part, that has to do with everything involving X-Men. And even, yes, Bryan Singer banning comics on set. So it's one of those things that I think even that joke in Logan about reading the comics, I think goes back to that a little bit too. I think there was a little bit of an inside poke at Bryan Singer. But anyway, I want to know your thoughts on this one. Do you think that it was the right call to do this? Do you think in hindsight he should have had everyone reading all the comics? Would we have gotten X-Men in 2000, or would we have gotten more something like X-Men Apocalypse? They really wanted to ramp up the comic side of things in Apocalypse, and look what that gave us. But then again, we also got Days of Future Past and X-Men United. So there are very good examples, and then there's that one poor example too. I'm talking Bryan Singer's involvement. We're not even going to discuss X-Men Origins Wolverine. But again, I leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions, write them down below. And if you don't want to write them down, you want to express yourself in another way, check out our voicemail line, 818-350-3281. That's 818-350-3281. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call in and leave your messages, and I'll get them. And then we can have discussions when I do the call-in show. So anyway, leave your comments, type it out. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thumbs up the video too while you're at it, and peace out.